Hey everybody, welcome back to Blades in the Dark, episode 3, the second score, I believe, right?
That's right.
That's right. So, to around the horn here, to my right, I have David as Ludwig Drekovac, also known as Rind. He is our resident hound. Actually, let's go down below me first here this time. Below me, I have Chris as Dr. Clinch Whitefield, Tubes, our leech. And we have Ted, our normal player, but Ted is going to be playing a newcomer to the group this time around for reasons that we will explain momentarily. He's playing Mikhail Dobramovich, also known as Little Mickey?
Big Mickey.
Well, for the stream tonight, he's saying Little Mickey, so... Sorry.
It's Big Mickey.
I know, but now it's going to take too long to actually fix that. My apologies, sir.
Little heart. Yeah, you're cruel. So you're gonna...
Mama don't like you no more.
Yeah, sorry. I made that mistake. I just realized. So, last episode, we did our first downtime, and just real quickly, we had Dancer, who is Ted's original character, Audric Michter, this slide. He overindulged his vice of his love of carousing while attempting to woo the Lady Ramira Cleland, and has disappeared off the face of the map as he has wound up in a very torrid fling with her for the time being, which is why Ted is now playing Big Mickey. Tubes.
Who knows where Edric went? No, I don't know.
Tubes helped clear some of the heat from the first score by patching up Caro, who was the victim of Ryan's expert gunshot, to set up the last score. And he also started researching the soul detachment inhibitor, which is a strange device which has yet to see the light of day. And Rind was interrogated by the Bluecoats during an entanglement during downtime, and instead of talking, he knocked himself out by hitting the table and compounded his already pretty bad wounds, and suffered some trauma, which is taking
epic, dude.
Manifest in the form of having a major grudge, a major obsession against the Bluecoats. That brings me to the second point, which is that I had to make a judgment call about what the consequences were for Ryan suffering trauma, and I chose to say that he lost one downtime activity. After checking with the Google groups of Blades in the Dark, and many props to Carl Meyer, who was the main guy who helped me out on that group, he explained that you would only be out of action for whatever phase we were in. So basically the entanglement phase, you would have been out for that. Trauma itself is a dire enough consequence, would have been back in action. So we actually owe Rind a downtime activity, which is what we're going to be doing first tonight before we do the score. We're going to go back in time a little bit and do the downtime activity. And just a reminder, you guys, did everyone put +1 stash? We all went through that, right?
Yep.
The crew advanced, so everyone gains +1 stash for all you viewers out there. Which is non-existent right now. That's okay. And you chose the special ability. What now? What did we end up deciding?
We got High Society, right?
High Society.
High Society is what we're going with?
Society.
All right, cool.
I'm gonna cut one of my lights real quick. Sorry.
No problem. And then one rules modification that I found out that I screwed up last time. Kind of like to do this every session, just kind of go through what happened and see if the rules illuminate something that we might have done wrong. Last time we did a number of clock ticking with projects and stuff like that, and for every time that you guys made a roll for like doing your formula tubes and can't remember what else we did, but it was a matter of the result of the die roll on the action roll determined the number of ticks that you would mark on the clock, and for some reason I kept on determining position and effect for those rolls, even though it didn't have any consequence at all. You know what I mean? Like, it's only results in...
Just roll your dice.
Yeah, you just roll the dice.
Oh, right. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so that was my bad for those kind of rolls. It's just, you just roll them straight up, and then whatever your results is determines how many ticks that you mark on the clock.
Cool. Does that mean we should modify some of these ticks?
No, because we did that as well. I was looking through the video as I was editing it last week, and I see that every time I'm like, okay, it's a desperate position, standard effect,
right?
And then we roll the dice, and I'm like, okay, 2 ticks. This,
Right.
So
I get what you're saying. Okay.
Excuse me, I'm going to cough for a sec. All right. Sun chip in the throat. Okay.
Not a product placement.
They're delicious. They're making my eyes water. Okay. Okay, so let's get back into it. So we're going to retcon a little bit. We're going to go back to Ludwig's downtime activities. He had already done one, which was healing. Which was a good idea.
His own jaw.
Yes. So what do you have? You just have like a bruised jaw now, right? I think that's the only thing that you're suffering from.
Yeah, bruised jaw.
So you're doing pretty good, thanks to
Thanks
to your buddy Tubes fixing you up with his physical special ability.
After he was done with his experimentation.
Yes, of course.
I'd love for a while.
Ryan just wants to point that out. Then maybe Tube's priorities are all fucked up. Yeah, so you have a downtime activity. So tell all the Zero viewers out there exactly what you plan on doing.
All right. So my dear friend Chaff, who is a one-eyed old crone dedicated to the veneration of the Shrouded Queen.
Oh, your vice purveyor. I see.
Vice purveyor. And
what's your vice again, Ludwig?
Faith.
Oh, you get a religion sometimes, huh?
I get a little.
I shot a man today. I better go to temple.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it.
So I would like to go visit her and have a little chat about the intentions of the Shrouded Queen, specifically because after the trauma that I've experienced and my general sort of already strongly felt resentments towards the people of Akaros, I think she could help me with some guidance towards spiritual rebellion, we'll call it. So
is this going to be what exactly is the nature of the activity? Is it a long-term project or?
So specifically, I'd like to do a long-term project during which I'd like to get her aid in sort of researching and acquiring some form of contact with Skovlan, like prominent Skovlan ghosts or spirits, with the long-term intent of getting their aid and sort of subverting Akarosi, powers that I don't like very much.
Okay. So you want her to... Okay. All right, so if you look on Roll20, you can see a picture of Chaff.
Ooh, we got a pinnock.
Underneath
hey, girl!
Oh,
Yes.
Love her.
That's your old one-eyed crone.
Oh, God, she's lovely.
Yeah. So we have here on your little faction status thing that she tends a secret shrine to the queen, to the Shrouded Queen. Where do you think that she would probably be located? Do you have any...
You broke up there for a second.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. You can hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
I had written on the faction status sheet that she tended a small shrine to the Shrouded Queen, a hidden shrine somewhere. Do you have any ideas of where that might be?
Let me think.
You can pull up the map if you want.
She's a one-eyed old crone. Yeah, I'm looking at the map real quick.
It doesn't really matter. It's more for flavor, but if you have...
for sure. Crow's Foot is where our... what am I trying to say?
Our lair?
Our lair is, and
No, our lair is in
Silk Shore.
Oh, we're in Silk Shore. Okay, and what's Crow's Foot again? As a
Crow's Foot is like gangland. That's where it's a full war between the Lampblacks and the Red Sashes, and they're fighting for the favor of the Crows, which are the crew that reigns there.
Not Crow's Foot. I should have read the districts a little bit. Let me see.
She lives in an old oyster barrel.
I imagine her, if she is...
What kind of neighborhood does she live in? Like, what does the place look like? And then I can tell you where it might be.
I'd like to believe that rather than being... I think she should be in one of the higher class quarters, treated as sort of like a crazy old woman that everyone ignores.
Okay.
One of the districts.
So we could say Brightstone or Charter Hall.
Yeah, like just for the juxtaposition of those personalities, I think that would be
What's up?
a fun thing.
Good night.
Good night, sweetie.
She's sort of watching the opulence of the people.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's me, yeah.
What is that on?
Do you want to be on in like the University District, or
Yeah, that's great.
or more like the Noble District, which is Brightstone?
I was going noble, but
Okay.
unless that makes no sense at all. But
No, that's fine with me.
I like the idea of the nobles sort of looking down their nose at her as just sort of crazy old lady, and her secretly having
Okay.
the finger of judgment. Hello.
So, okay, where should she be then? What would the shrine look like? I don't know. It could be some sort of tent in the main bazaar there in the market, in the silver market.
Okay.
Or maybe a more permanent structure like a lean-to. Not really much more permanent, but something like that.
Okay, I love it. All right. So selling little fetishes and stuff like that.
Sure. All right. So yeah, you head to, I believe it's called the Silver Market in Brightstone. You're way out of your league around here. Audric went here to go see Eldon Pritchard aboard the Silver Swan.
Sure.
Yes, I was actually right. The Silver Market. So curated open air emporium overlooking the Norfolk Channel. Lots of luxury goods vendors of all sorts, including rare Peruvian silk, spices from the Dagger Isles, horse traders, rare alchemical distillations, and such. So we'll say that she has like easily the shabbiest looking stall.
Selling like I Heart Acaros t-shirts.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
Snow globes.
No, but she has an air about her, and for whatever reason, people avoid her. So the blue coats, and because she never really causes anybody any trouble, the blue coats just kind of let her be, and they don't frankly want to have anything to do with her either. There is a palpable aroma as you approach. You're used to this now. It's sort of like like you're nearing her, of like very, very, very strong incense. It's sort of like patchouli.
She's a hippie.
Yeah.
It is April 20th.
And she staggers out of the darkness of her little lean-to, seeming to have a preternatural awareness that you're arriving, and she kind of squints up at you as you kind of block out the sun. And she's, young Mr. Drakvatch, welcome back.
Hello, grandmother. Good to see you again.
Time for more lessons.
Absolutely.
Come. And she like rattles her little cane at you, just as you.
Sure. I sort of part the tin flap and follow her.
She like swats.
Yeah, right. I love it.
She swats the back of your legs, like trying to get you in. In.
Is she gonna try to feed me a lot of it now?
No, it's claustrophobic and muggy inside her little lean-to. It's all hanging with whatever you would determine would be like the fetishes of her cult. But she has been on and on about telling you that the time for petty ablutions and rituals is over. Like it's time to act. Like all this fate thing is kind of she's kind of forcing it on you now. Like this is like the next stage for you. So she kind of starts in on that, and she see. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I say something's happened to me, grandmother. It's given me a clearer vision of this vile town and its supposed protectors, and I came to you for guidance on how to purify its people.
The time has finally come. Yes. The Shrouded Queen has taken you under her wing, finally.
But the veil's been lifted from my eyes.
Well, you must find the path yourself. You must create your own destiny. That is the only way the Queen will have it. I cannot tell you, but I can certainly help. What is it you have in mind?
Man,
She kind of picks at like the scar of her eye. It's like really kind of gross.
Sure.
Hey.
All of those dear heroes that were lost during the war, grandmother. I know some of them still roam these lands, and I'd hoped you could help me communicate with them so that I could better understand their will, and perhaps even employ them and
Oh, the dark arts is what you need. A whisper. A whisper is the kind of person you need, perhaps. Yes, someone who can talk.
I don't have those skills myself.
It's not something that you are innately born with. Anyone can learn them. I certainly have.
Oh, can you teach me?
Oh, yes, indeed, in due time, of course. You must be more punctual with your lessons. And we can certainly begin looking into the echoes in the ghost field.
Sure. So,
No, the
Joe,
evil kitty.
do you think it's more appropriate for me to pursue a way of, I mean, should I be pursuing like a long-term project where I learn some sort of skill?
You can do that. You can learn how to attune. You can just raise a tune like you can raise anything else.
Yeah.
And if you put training for your crew in what is it, resolve or insight, probably insight, I think, then you would be able to fill it up faster. Or you could have her, make her part of your long-term project where she can go out and she's offering basically that she has skills in attune, obviously.
Sorry, we lost you again for a second then.
Oh, really? I'm sorry.
I did. I don't know.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you stalled at my end as well. But
Okay.
just for a second.
Sorry.
No.
I blame the dark arts. The ghosts are communicating with you right
You know what it might be? Give me 1 second. I might drop out. 1 second. Hold on. All right. Sorry about the mechanical hiccup there. Just having some problems with some stuttering with the video. Okay, so we're back. Okay, so I was saying that yes, that Chaff can be a part of your long-term project because she does have a tune to help round up. Not round up, but like find Skovlan ghosts. Like, what do you want? Do you want like a list of potential?
Yeah, I mean,
Ghosts?
so like just for the lack of, or for the sake of being a little more transparent, we talked a little bit about it before off camera, but I think it'd be really cool to pursue. Are they called hulls? I believe you said bodies without ghosts.
Hulls.
Yeah, holes. Yeah.
Pursue a trade in which we start communicating with spirits and sort of creating hulls from our, the junkies that are sort of addicted to whatever service we're giving. Rob them of their souls and then put Skovlan souls in those hulls for the sake of
I see what you're getting at.
building a Skovlander
An undead army of Skovlanders.
You
an army of Skovlanders who are walking around sort of looking like the townspeople.
No. What you mean to say is you want to bring back heroes of the war.
Precisely. So what I'm trying to do with her help is discover who those heroes are, or at least make the first point of communication.
Oh, it's
With the-
easy.
with
Are
the
you
eventual
Skovlander?
aim-
You are hero.
I am. There you go.
This equation is done.
Okay, so
Yeah.
she basically she's like, I can hunt for these ghosts. Now most of the Skovlan heroes, their ghosts are non-existent, for they were destroyed, and many of the others are in Skovlan itself. But yes, there are some, I'm sure, that wander the ghost field here in Duskwall, seeking revenge upon those who harmed them, who killed them, who wronged them in life.
Yeah. That's exactly what I want.
I like this. The Shrouded Queen will be most gratified in this endeavor. I shall attempt to find some of these ghosts for you.
Thank you, grandmother.
All right, and she.
Oh
Dang it.
man.
Oh no, technology. Hey,
What's the
it's back.
It is miracle.
I tell
Okay.
you, she is really messing with us tonight.
The
All right.
Shrouded Queen does not like this plan, maybe.
So let's start a clock here for.
Sure.
So it's a. What's going on? What is going on? All right. Let's
Is
start a clock
plot.
here for long-term goal. What's the long-term goal here?
Like the final point, or sort of like stage one?
Well, what's the final point? Is to get
The final point is to try to sort of transplant them into hulls.
Okay, yeah, that's
So
two.
that would require sort of like a regular enough vessel of communication where we could arrange things with spirits.
Okay, so that's like going to be a multi-stage thing. So
Yeah,
let's just call
that'd
it.
be very far along.
Yeah, that's very complex. So let's just do like the thing that what Chaff can help you with here, which is
Sure.
kind of creating a list of go-to Skovlan ghosts that you could.
So that one is a little simpler, perhaps.
Yeah.
It's like Act 1 of that idea.
Is that cool with you?
That's perfect for me. That's what I was sort of trying to figure out on your end.
Okay, so let's call it at 6 o'clock. All right.
6 o'clock. Let's do it.
I'm going to create it here. Hold on one sec. You should be able to see it on your.
Sexy Skovlan ghosts want to meet you now.
Let's call it Chaff
The dark
Research.
side?
Chaff researches Skovlan ghosts.
Ancestry or something like that.
Let's see, okay, and now if since she's going to be the one doing it, it's basically going to be a fortune roll, which I'm going to modify with her quality or her tier, basically. If you want to do anything to help her, you could. I don't know if you want to or not, but
Let me just look real quick on my sheet to see if there's anything that makes sense. Let me think.
Would it be helpful if we supplied her with some of the Leviathan blood or some of our traps that we've got? Those are things that we could provide her with that might help.
I think that's a great idea. I also was going to suggest, although this is pretty abstract, but using something like a survey roll to sort of research significant places of conflicts within the city or anything like that, right? Like any news or sort of like reportage on clashing between Skovlan and local troops here.
What, to like try and find a Skovlan ghost?
Yeah,
Before,
areas.
yeah.
What would you even call that? Like a I don't know, like a spiritually significant location.
well, there's things called spirit wells where ghosts are known to congregate.
Yes, that would be the word.
Right.
That's a bit abstract, though.
But if there was a spirit well right in the middle of the Skovlan tenements,
Sure, that's what I'm getting at, right?
maybe
So, like,
that would be a good place to.
Okay, so how would you help her find? Like, what are you doing? To
I
help
would
her?
just scout out areas with like high densities of either Skovlan people who are in residence here, presumably in this area, I would imagine, or try to research any sort of like fights that have happened between the cops, the blue coats, or sort of et cetera, like death that has occurred in the news,
Right.
about Skovlanders, perhaps in the tenements or fighting against the cops or whatever may.
Okay,
have been
so-
in
David,
society.
Do you mean
Stuff
like
that.
trying to find out the names of specific Skovlanders
Yeah.
who died in Dustfall who
Yeah,
would be
exactly.
candidates that we would want to try and see if their ghosts are still around? Is that what you're getting at?
That's what I'm getting at.
Okay.
So basically, yeah, looking for reportage on that, whether it be the news or some sort of, and use
Right.
a survey role maybe would be appropriate for that. Sort of like a sleuthing sort of situation. I don't know what a sleuth type role.
I
would
think
be.
survey would do fine. Now here's the deal, though. You can have a choice. You can either do an assist action, like where you would suffer one stress to give her a bonus die, or you could do it as like a setup action. In which case you could change her position or effect, and it would be up to you on her roll. You know what I mean? So you could suffer one stress and give her one die, or you could roll as a setup action and change her position or her effect,
Okay.
and suffer no stress.
I don't know what a better way to go about it is. When it comes to projects like this, basically I'm debating between taking a stress for the likelihood of it succeeding versus the potency of it.
Well, John, with these rolls, there is no position, right? And is
Oh, I'm doing it again, aren't I? I'm totally doing it again.
Does position effect exist with these rolls? Like, would it increase the number of ticks?
Let's see your fortune roll.
Yeah, I'm not sure what I'm yielding.
Sorry, I'm just learning these fortune rolls here. Give me 1
Yeah,
second.
no worries.
It's a little bit different than a normal one because we're doing a fortune roll when it's usually your own roll for downtime activity. But give me 1 second. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, sure.
No stress, man. Hopefully,
Unless you do take stress.
Well,
I'm already taking stress.
If my character has proven anything so far, I will definitely take the riskiest avenue towards.
Okay, let's do it like this so we stick with the rules. Okay, it might be a little bit of a suspension of disbelief, but for long-term project, it's supposed to be something that you're doing. So why don't we do it like this? Tell me how you are, or tell me what action you're using to convince Chaff to do what you say. Like, it's not going to be like Chaff will get it done, but you have to. You have to like give her the push. You know what I mean? Like, you've got to like command her or sway her or consort with her. Like, she's already said that, you know, she really wants you to come more often, you know, you know, so you can learn things. You know, so I could see like consorting would kind of include like constant revisits.
Yeah. What about
that's the least likely success on my part. Oh, it's fine.
you can talk Adric into loving her up there,
dude. Her, basically, the only things I point at. Otherwise,
you could also like, I mean, if you wanted, I don't know if John you'd agree to this, but if you wanted to use survey still, it could be like you going out and surveying those locations and bringing her back that information so she can do what she does.
That's fine too. Yeah, I think it's just primarily it's like you can't just as a long-term project. It doesn't include just like hiring somebody. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like you've got to do something. You know.
No, I totally get that.
Yeah, but yeah, Chris, what Chris said is fine too. You could do that for survey.
Yeah, I mean
maybe she's got a whole bunch of little jobs for you to do. Each one is a tick.
Retrieval missions, more or less. Yeah. I mean, I think survey. Well, survey's the only thing I have a notch in, so I don't have much of a way of choice unless I want to go.
Well, it's you know, remember that you suffer stress and you can give yourself a bonus die, and then you go from roll 2 and drop the lowest to an automatic 50% chance by rolling 1 die. You know,
you could roll that like beginner attune thing and start attuning.
So for gathering information, if it's common knowledge, the GM will simply answer your question. It's not. If there's an obstacle to the discovery, the answer an action call is rolled for. If it's not common knowledge but there's no obstacle, a simple fortune roll determines the quality of the information you gather.
I'm going to leave that to you, Jim. Obviously, it's optimal for me to go with survey and sort of try to entice her with, you know, messages about how many Skovlanders have been brutally, you know, murdered and harmed.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it requires an action roll with possible consequences because. Okay. Well, hold on.
If it's a long-term project, it's just the roll, yeah.
So investigation, the GM would tell you to start a long-term project that you work on during downtime. Yeah. Okay, so let's do that. So this is more complex. This is a kind of a big deal. It's going to take a lot of time. So we were making a long-term project, so it's actually investigation, not just a simple gather information roll. So for investigation, then it's like what Chris said. It would just be a roll of your choice, and then we would just do ticks. Okay?
Okay. So
all right.
Then it would just be a pure... Oh, no.
No, it's back to what, you know, whatever action you decide.
Okay, so I'll do survey, and then I'll take the stress. Does that make sense?
Okay, so you're going to do survey and push yourself, is what you're saying?
That's possible, yeah.
Yeah, you can push yourself. So you're going to take 1 stress and give yourself 1 extra bonus die.
So, David, you're thinking this is a sort of like you day and night for weeks on end, you're scouring the city, hunting for the clues that you can give her
Yeah, I mean, my sort of position on this from a character standpoint was I was already primed. I mean, I'm an ex-military guy, right? I was already sort of resentful of the situation. I then got interrogated and basically sort of like roughed up. And so that obsession, that trauma is a good impetus for me to also sort of like start obsessing on other people who have been treated the way I have.
I get it. So you're,
you know what I mean? So I'm like looking around being like, what have the Bluecoats have been doing to my people in this town? Like, this is what's happened after the war.
So night after night,
yeah, exactly.
You spend all day working on your crew stuff, and then you go out and you go to cafes and whatever, and you're like collecting stories and
exactly
leaning in for
sort of like semi-strife, yeah.
Rules thing. When you push yourself, you take 2 stress, right?
Crap, I can't remember. Is that what it is?
I just looked it up. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool.
Just FYI. So
that's a lot of stress.
Count that into your.
Sorry, I've got like a billion screens open. I can't.
Yeah. No worries.
I'm having trouble concentrating.
21 of the PDF.
Yeah.
Rules.
Okay. Okay. So my bad. Yeah. One. 2 stress.
2 stressed. Okay.
Is that what? Yeah.
So it is a risky, controlled, desperate.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, but
doesn't matter.
I have to choose.
It doesn't. It won't affect the dice rolls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty much just for the GM.
Okay, and then effect standard. Bonus die 1. All right, let's try this. Okay, so 2 and 4. Does that make
4.
sense?
Okay, great. So 4, I believe, is 2 ticks. I believe. Let's see here. 4 is 2 segments. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Nice.
All right. Let's choose a side here. There we go. 2 ticks. Ryan Research Scotland goes. Okay.
Right
Thank you, grandmother. Thank you. I look forward to seeing you more often.
Okay, so you were able to locate Ryan in all over town, but mostly you can see there's a lot of centered on Char Hollow and Coal, whatever. What is it?
Little Skovlan.
Coleridge, yeah, Coleridge. Sorry,
Coleridge and Char Hollow, yeah.
Yeah, is where there's a great concentration of Skovlanders because they're a lot of them work, in the factories and as laborers. A lot of them in the docks as well. A lot of them basically like work in Coleridge and live in Char Hollow. There's a lot of that going on. And so you hear all these stories of, that's basically what they talk about, is such and such a Skovlander who fought in such and such a battle and died heroically. And there's all sorts of legends about, his ghost still wanders the streets, and so you're able to kind of, what do you call it, like correlate and triangulate these stories until, you find like the seed of truth within some of these legends. And you bring some of them back to Chaff, who drinks them up like sweet, sweet nectar, and sends you back out for more. It's like that's good now. Let's see what I can do with this information. So they, okay.
I have this weird vision of her getting sort of like every time you tell her one of these stories.
Yes.
With that information, do I get any sort of like indication of who the perpetrator of those crimes? Like the cop.
You mean the Bluecoats?
Yeah. Is there any sense of names floating around like this guy's a real asshole?
Like a particular Bluecoat? You mean?
Yeah, just in general. Yeah.
Well, there's certainly, I would say definitely Bluecoats have been responsible for a number of wrongful deaths. But just to be realistic with the world, I think most of it is just violent ends, but in the underworld. It's like very few of the deaths have anything to do with the law. It's more gang related and work related and things like of that nature. You do see that a lot of the animosity seems to stem from crews of Skovlanders within companies that are owned by Lord Strangford. You hear that name a lot.
Lord Strangford, okay.
And almost to the point where you think that Strangford might, or Strangford's men, or the upper echelon of that company are trying to set Skovlander against Skovlander to create beefs on the work floor or in the neighborhoods, that kind of thing, so that they keep the Skovlanders busy with each other.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? But I mean, I'm throwing that seed out there. You'd have to kind of pick that up and see if that actually leads into anything.
A
But
little bit of a whispering, maybe.
But I think that also ties into like how you would see things as Ryan with a major chip on your shoulder against Akarosi. Like you're quick to jump to that conclusion. Like that motherfucking Akarosi, just like an Akarosi to do that to a scholar is set us against each other. You know.
Yeah.
You know. Never looking at like what the fault might be in the actual Skovlan makeup, you know, that makes them like that, you know. But okay, stuff like that. We'll say at this point, like with 2 clicks, you're not getting any more clear information than that.
I love it. That's good.
Is that cool?
Strangford.
Didn't Strangford?
They own the ship that Mr. Poole.
Oh yes, Lord
Strangford's own the ship that Mr. Poole has a model of on his shelf.
And potentially our employer.
The she-demon.
The she-demon, yeah.
Mr. Poole will be interesting to talk to in the future.
Mikhail might have something to say about Lord Strangford too once you get to talk to him, which leads us into our next segment. So if you're cool, Ryan, we're caught up with the present. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So
on that note, John.
Yes.
I know we haven't really had a chance to talk about this, but you mentioned quite correctly that Mikhail's vice is the same as Tube's.
Yes. The fighting pits.
And I thought it would be kind of cool if, in fact, it was the same purveyor, and that's how I know about this crew.
Cool. That's fantastic. Yeah.
All right, let's go with that.
That's Sergeant Velk, who is a blue coat.
Right.
He's a prison guard at Iron Hook, who moonlights as the MC at these fighting pits.
Right. Yeah. So maybe sometimes I am watching him fight in pits. I think it's not bad for Doctor.
No, I don't fight in the pits. I'm a gambler.
Oh,
he doesn't fight.
You are not fighting?
But I thought that actually made it more interesting.
Big like these?
Sorry?
Big knuckles,
I thought it made it more interesting too, because you're a pure gambler too. It's like you just see money in it. Although I'm sure you get like a visceral thrill out of it as well, or else you wouldn't have chosen pit fighting.
Does that mean you like believe in some sort of like eugenic? Well, as a doctor, I'm.
There's something about like watching bodies get destroyed that.
Gives you a little Skovlan chubby.
Sick and twisted. But in the meantime, you have Mikhail, who actually, your vice is actually is it gambling or
face?
It's actually the fighting in the pits, right?
Duh.
Yeah. Okay. So.
So we've leaned full into this.
Maybe I approached Mikhail after one of his fights and was like, "You fight very well.
You really fucked that dude up, man."
As a fellow Skovlander, I have potentially profitable work for you, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
You got it. Hit someone in face.
My oafish friend.
All right, so let's we cut from that scene.
Yep.
And let's cut to the lair, right, in Silk Shore, back at the apothecary shop. Ryan is having his last bandages taken off by Tubes or something like that, and
winding it like the Invisible Man.
Yeah, and Big Mickey is dominating the room.
Coats have made you more handsome.
It's a good look for you.
Oh, God.
So Ted, do you want to introduce to everybody just a real quick? What's the deal with Big Mickey?
Big Mickey, Mikhail Dobromovich is Skovlander, works in the distillery as man who lifts barrels. You get the big muscles like this. Mama, she raised me right to work hard, but sometimes, for Skovlander, working hard in this town does not mean anything. So sometimes you come along, maybe a little punching, a little, maybe you have to stab, huh? And sometimes boot in. No matter what law says, it does not know what is right. Only what is written down. Not important. What is to do is to take care of things. And if you have to hit it, then okay.
Nice. All right, so that's Big Mickey in the house, as Audric is nowhere to be seen. You guys have no idea where he is.
Have you ever noticed how you never see Audric and Big Mickey in the same place?
What's going on there?
And to be clear, this isn't new for Audric. I'm sort of like nonplussed at this point. I'm like, he's gone again. Why do we keep letting him back in?
Audric out on one of his benders. We might have work for this specimen.
Good. Work. Money. Buy something nice for mama, huh?
So you guys trade some Skovlan war stories, some War of Unity stories, right? You got your Skovlan blood all fired up, and you're like, let's go get some fucking demon blood. Right?
I love it.
All right, so let's start the score here. So, as you remember, we have to go do the engagement roll. So remember, it's not a matter of detailing the full plan and all its ramifications. We're going to jump right into the action. So we just need to know what kind of plan are we talking about. So we're looking at page 127 in the PDF. Assault, deception, stealth, occult, social, or transport, depending on what you choose, will determine the detail that we're looking for here in order to get the action started. So I have next to 0 prepped, so it's going to be totally up to you guys about how you want to approach this. The only thing I had taken into account was that the goal is to acquire a supply of unrefined demon blood.
Right.
Probably involving Jewel, which is Tube's contact amongst the dock workers of the Leviathan ships.
Right.
And then once you've got it, you would foist it off onto the Foghounds, who would then get it somehow to your hole in the wall in the back of the silk merchant shop in Night Market, right? For distribution. Yep. Right? That's what I understood from last time.
Yeah. I mean, I don't... Our plan seems like weirdly convoluted, but yeah, that's been...
Well, you were talking about it, Ted, was
right.
that...
The theory being is that if it comes in by ship refined, a properly placed person could put some unrefined blood on the ship.
Right.
And then once it comes into Duskfall, then all the refined blood has to make its way into town and to outer settlements that are inland by rail. And somewhere in that, between the docks and the rail station, is an opportunity to get what we want off the boat and into our hands. And we saw an opportunity to work with the Foghounds to move it away from the boats and to our pickup point, which is near the train station.
Right. Now,
that was broadly what the scheme or scam or whatever you want to call it was going to be.
Right. Okay. Yep. But the key I'm seeing is to acquire the demon blood first, right?
Right.
And then you're going to use the Foghound's ability in smuggling to get it to a point where you can distribute it.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I guess the thing I'm hanging up is it's not strictly speaking necessary for us to acquire it and then acquire it again. If you know what I mean. Like the point is,
right? I think we're just looking for a source. Is
right.
What this is about. We're looking.
We don't
for,
have to go to the docks and acquire it, unless we do. Unless that's the deal.
Well, I was looking at the score types, right?
Right.
And there's a wide variety of things. Like a score doesn't have to be like a crazy heist or anything like that necessarily, right? Like there's a social score, right? Which could be we go to Jewel and figure out like as a social connection. If he can hook us up with someone on one of these ships who'd be willing to do this.
Right.
Right. Well, I mean, that wouldn't really be a score, only because you already have the contact with Jewel. Like getting...
Well, like, Jewel has, like, that connection detail, where, like, then Jewel
we have to negotiate with a sailor.
Maybe.
Or a group of sailors, or a ship's captain or something.
Yes, someone who wouldn't normally help you.
Right.
I think
so. There's...
right. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, so like what Chris was saying, this unrefined Leviathan blood is not in our possession. We want it to be in our possession so that we can sell it.
Right.
And there are, I guess if we take one of these 6 types of what's it called? Plans, to 6 types of plans, then that any one of them can decide sort of what part of the score we're going to play. and what kind of score it will be. Like,
Yeah.
we could say, you know what? Let's say we found out someone who's got some, we're going to attack him. Or we're going to pretend we're scientists that need some for research. Or we're going to steal it. Or we're going to,
Yep.
like you
Yep.
said, make a deal with the ship's captain.
Okay, so let's just take
My
the.
thought was the transport one, which is we work out sort of all the smuggling details, and we sit in our hidey hole in that tunnel near our silk shop, and the Foghound guys show up and give us the blood, and then we distribute it from there. But there's a lot of stuff that happens between, refinery all the way to the rail station.
Right. That's what I'm. It's a little tricky. Okay, like
Yeah.
you have the Foghounds as allies, so there's no reason not to use them.
Okay.
With their best stat, and this seems like the perfect opportunity to do that. But
Right.
you're not sending the Foghounds to go do a score. That's not the score.
you
It's to
think
send the
that
Foghounds to do a
should
score.
be, like, before the Foghounds pick it up.
Here's what
you can do whatever you
why
want.
don't-
I think
So
the
I think-
score.
Hypothetically speaking, right? We have people who can sort of be the middlemen there, but we have to convince the
Ship's
ship
captain.
We
or
need
someone.
a way to get the refined.
So-
we need to find someone to get us the refined
So-
blood
so
so that
I
they
think-
can carry it for
Yes,
us.
so I think
Okay,
that's all we need.
I think we should go shake down a captain, because we have essentially a giant thuggish brute, a guy with a big rifle, and a doctor who's got blood on his hands, and intimidate a captain into being our connection, right?
Well, it doesn't have to be intimidation.
Doesn't have
But
to be,
let's-
but I'm just practically speaking from the makeup of our group now that our like
Right.
suave guy is gone, is that we're essentially going to show up and be like, "Would you love to help us?" And he'd be like, "No, you look totally disreputable," and then we're going to say, "You're going to help us."
Or let's say we see a ship's captain at
Where's
hold
a Skovlander?
hold on, what's the name of the place? The Dunslow Ghetto, that fighting ring. There's some ship's captain there who's in debt to Sergeant Velk, and we use that as leverage rather than intimidating him. We blackmail him or bribe
That
him.
is also totally.
But
I'm on board.
Okay,
but-
so let's try a social score then. Is that what you're saying?
Okay, social score.
That we're going to go social to try and figure
I
out.
mean, it could be deception, manipulate. Yeah, but yeah, I mean,
I think we should negotiate.
I think it's using, like, because the social score, the detail is the connection, right? So maybe we use Jewel as the connection to get us in with, like, a captain or, a mate,
Yeah.
or even just like a stevedore on a ship who is like a
Okay.
deckhand who can
yes, a
access.
Scavenger like assistant or whatever.
Yeah, I like the idea of like getting in with a
His
laborer.
manservant. Who,
Here we go.
Who cleans him every day can be
Or-
our
Or first officer who's disgruntled
who
about
can
not
hold
being the captain.
his
Well-
barber, his Skovlander barber can hold the sort of razor to his neck.
Well, remember, it's like you can't detail like who the connection's going to. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
I know. We're just providing you with ammunition.
so your connection is going to be Jewel's connection with somebody who is a
Yes.
who has access to the ship, but is like on the low end of the crew, right?
Sure.
Is that
Well, whoever it is.
Yeah, the highest
Whoever
person we
works
can
out.
get, right? But yeah,
Yeah,
Uh,
I mean, too low on the totem pole, and our supply is going to necessarily be small. A first officer who's crooked
Well,
or
you'll have to figure that out though. You know what I mean? Like your connection is Jewel, and then
Okay.
Jewel's going to do what he can do, and you're gonna
Okay.
have to adjust in the meantime.
Yeah.
Remembering flashbacks and all that kind of good stuff along the way.
yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Yeah.
So this is actually I'm having indicated that we are ready for our first little break real quick, which is perfect timing, so I can actually come up with a couple details here.
great.
Okay. So
Okay.
let's take a quick break, and we'll be back in about 5 minutes. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, internet.